Good morning and welcome to Let's Drone Out.
Hello.
Tonight you're joined by our Master and Overlord who suffered a great loss today. Will we remember great Big Bertha or Dorothy?
I had to wave off Bill, Ben and Buttercup today, yes.
Yes. We salute you. Gotta make sure I do enough. Chris Barry. For Curry Kitten. We are joined by my little vegan sausage, Tony.
Bonjour.
If he tries to sell you a cat, it really is a dog. And speaking of cats, everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Hello.
Can we get a disclaimer?
I'll read it if it scrolls. Any views expressed by any guests on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of others. Don't listen to us. Not that we're going to say anything controversial, because no one's done anything.
The wonderful Blue Owl.
Hi, everyone.
The beautiful NJ Tech.
Hello, everyone.
And we will get a weekly presentation on aerodynamics and DCS, which is Digital Combat Simulator. Is that right?
Don't let me involve that. This will become a whole other thing.
I will be your radar officer, something or other. Gib, guy in back. Jack, how's it going?
What's the V1 of a something or other with a jet? I don't know.
That's just commercial aviation use V1 as well. That's your decision speed. We've either got a break or we've got to commit to a takeoff. That's V1.
Oh God, he's loving it.
Ask V1 on sport. That'll do me in. Anyway,
how was the aerodynamic circle jerk, my friend?
This is going to mean nothing to anyone. This is going to mean nothing to anyone other than you.
Sheldon's back in combat. Is back in Cockwomble jail. That's all that anyone needs to know.
Yeah, that is. Oh no, he was released. He was released earlier this evening. Anyway, how's everyone else? Rotate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, V2 is the rotation. So V1's decision speed, V2 is the rotate speed at which you're fast enough to make a positive rate of climb. I'm sorry, I can't stop.
I'm using the sign earlier than anticipated. I don't understand what's going on already. This is fast. You haven't even got to the aerodynamics yet.
Anyway, has anyone flown this week or since the last time?
Yes. Indoors, 2 lipos.
Well done.
Why are you here? Happy birthday, Sophie.
I'm here because Sophie has chucked me out to go and watch an awful program called RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
Lord. I can't watch without...
Is that drag racing as in dressing up as a lady, or...
Well, I don't think it's anything to do with cars.
Drift?
Given that the prefix of that show is RuPaul, I'm letting you guess if it's men in drag or it's about racing cars.
But it's probably right up your bloody street. Let's face it.
It's not my thing, but they seem to enjoy it, so that's what they're doing on their birthday.
Maybe it's up Jack Street.
It's a shame Andy's not here because he's just popped a review up, I noticed. So he was outside flying.
What?
Some sort of cine whoop typey thing.
Wow.
I've heard of the outside.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Has it got so bad up north that the rain is like frozen? Is that what's happened? Because Andy hasn't been able to get out for like 18 months because it's just bogland, just so much rain.
It's so cold up north, Andy almost put a jacket over his t-shirt. That's how cold it got. Almost.
Kept the shorts on though.
He's got slightly long. Well, he's got sleeves on. That's the thing. It's not just a vest this time.
Exactly.
Well, that's good. So, what did you fly, and why only 2 lipos? Why not 3?
Because I had somebody doing at-home schooling in that room, and another person doing important international business calls in another room, who both got upset about the angry wasp that flew past them several times. And I was literally just testing out one of the new Beta FPV little controller thingies. And so I just took it for a quick flight around, and I was Very rusty, actually. I tried to blame the controller a bit, saying, well, the throttle's a little bit stiffer than normal, but really, I didn't have as much control as I'd normally do. I think you need a good 5 or 6 lipos, at
to
least on a
which
weekly
way
basis.
To hold it, yeah?
Yeah, to just get back into it a bit. And it was all a bit shaky and a bit crap, but it was better than doing nothing. Normally when I'm flying in the house, I'd open the conservatory door and I'd zip out into the garden and come back in. But the whole house would have frozen in like 10 minutes, so that didn't happen. So pretty dull, but I suppose it's better than not flying anything.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah, indeedy. Speaking of controls, a half reasonable link here. Isn't there a new? When I was chatting to Andy earlier, actually, he was mentioned there was a new jumper control that looks a little bit like the Tango.
Yeah, this is the jumper T-Light, I think it's called.
That's it. Yeah, the
and
T-Light.
It looks very much like your sort of game controller, but they've got a full LCD screen. It runs OpenTX. I think it's got a full-size module bay at the back, so it can run Crossfire and things. And it's only about, I think it's under 60 quid, even for like the multi-protocol version, which is pretty damn cheap as a radio. And it's got Hall effects gimbals as well, so it sounds pretty good. I haven't got one to test it, but it certainly sounds to business.
I don't know why they call it Hall effect, because they're Hall sensors. Yeah. It's not,
the sensors based on the Hall effect, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a problem with them being called Hall effect. I'm not buying them on their effect. I'm buying them on their ability to do their job as sensors. I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, I don't like it.
I like the fact that today I'm the person who's got the second worst OCD. NJ's winning out massively about these things. He's nitpicking everything.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. For me, the big thing is always how those gimbals are going to feel, and it's usually down to the bearings and the materials. And that can really make or break, especially, I don't know if this gets anyone else, but how the stick bottoms out against the side. So when you hit the side, does it give a really nasty, hard stoppy clunk, or does it have a nice satisfying thud? Like the feel of the very endpoints is quite a thing that bothers me if it feels plasticky and a bit crap.
What bothers me is the speaker where you'd place your hand. So if you've got call outs like long distance, you've been flying 10 minutes. It's what? I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's not a sensible place. But then I also think, well, for me as a pincher, my hands would be poised in a way that I don't think that would actually block the speaker, but maybe the other way.
I think it's a feature that they've designed in so that you don't have to go around and find some brown tape to stick over the speaker when it's shouting at you that your radio is running out of battery, Tony.
So Andy is saying for the Radio Master version, Jumper will fall to bits. Are we saying that Jumper's not as good quality as Radio Master? Is that the general gist there?
Yeah. E-Wings has said something in the chat there. Pinchers are probably screwed again. Now, that's again, I guess it's a subjective thing, but for me, even back to the X-Lite, I had all the thumbers immediately assumed, including Joshua, which I said to him directly, that's rubbish. You shouldn't be making assumptions about pinchers. He thought that exact word. Yeah, it was a conversation of that nature. But yeah, it was this thing that because they look like they're designed ergonomically, specifically for thumbers, that they were going to be awful for pinchers. And I find the Tango, the X-Lite, absolutely fine to pinch with, and I've had no problem at all. Same with Nick Burns as well. Nick Burns is the same. He agrees with me.
Because I had a bit of an issue with pinching with the X-Lite, and I got the immediate response of you just need to change the sticks and get longer sticks, and then it's fine.
That's very true. Yeah, I tend to run, but again, it's sort of subjective, isn't it? But I found running with the sticks a little bit longer, got your hands in the right position. If they were a bit too short, you had to deflect your articulates a little more than you should have to. So.
Even for thumbers, the X-Lite needed longer sticks as well. putting the longer sticks on made all the world of difference to it. It's one of my favourite radios as soon as it got the longer sticks, but on the original sticks it felt a bit less control-y, less accurate.
Blue Owl, have you got your handbag TX yet?
Not yet. I'm pretty busy lately, so.
Oh.
How did your big conference go?
Big conference. It wasn't that big. It was pretty, it was closed. It was internal, but yeah, it was fun. It's always fun with the flying labs. You always get to see what they work on, and that's super fascinating. It's not the kind of projects that we talk about or that we know in Europe or the US or wherever else. Suddenly you start hearing about, for example, like checking on the hippos with a drone or like, I don't know, surveying an elephant, something. It's always super fascinating.
Do the people checking on elephants ever feel like there's a gap there under the elephant? I need to make that gap and maybe power loop it.
It must be difficult to kind of not to do it, right? I would be tempted to, yeah.
There we go. That's the next one for the International Game of Whoop, is power looping an elephant.
An elephant, yeah. That would be a good challenge for Tawanda, our friend from Zimbabwe, probably.
Yes. Not sure I can agree unless it was a tiny whoop.
Yeah.
What if it was just a big elephant?
Someone suggests Matty flipping a rhino. That's an idea. If I ever get to travel to Africa and, if the COVID madness ever ends and I get to go there and take my quads with me.
I heard it's going to be 6 years and then we'll be free, so it's not too long to wait.
Someone's talking about trippy spinning a giraffe. That's also.
Am I upside down?
Yeah, we had fun on Saturday. Back on the latest version of Curry Kitten Simulator, with the water towers the cooling towers even.
Yeah.
Right word.
I only joined late, and all I heard is a very drunk Tony complaining a lot that everything was tiny.
We played hide and seek, and it was near impossible to find them. Honestly, they're cheating or something was happening.
It was easier when you were facing the screen. I'll say that.
I can't remember much about that. So
I just remember your radio just complaining constantly that battery low. Yeah. Just change that. Just charge it. Just do something about that. And you're like, no, it's fine. I've got some tape that'll show.
Oh, that's right. Because you said, why don't you turn it off? And instead, he just gaffer taped over the speaker. Trying to shut it up.
Well, that was one way around it. That's definitely one way around it. Well, so pretty much all the new radios charge while being useful as a game controller now, don't they? But the Tyrannus is not. So I guess you're going to get those. Was it in the standard amber calming voice, or was it battery low in some sound pack that Tony's using?
I think it was just like an original one from 6 years ago. It's like
it's probably the amber, right?
Yeah. I didn't think
disgruntled dinner lady screaming at him.
Disgruntled dinner lady should definitely be a sound pack. Yeah. I would download that. There is Blue Owl's next remote.
That's it. Yeah.
There's the one.
Nice.
Are you gonna girl it up and have it in pink?
But my point was being here was just to show you how I hold the transmitter like this. That's perfectly comfortable for me. Got the switches there. So that's generally how I hold when I'm flying as a pincher. That is no problem for me. And that's what I was thinking is you can see that trying to get this at the right angle, that part under my palm would be free for the speaker. I think
it probably would be all right.
And if I was doing it this way, I think it'd be the same. Really hard to think in reverse here with the camera. Yeah, so I think the speaker being there is probably going to be all right. Even being left-handed. But yeah, that's how I hold when I pinch anyway. And that is comfortable. That's ergonomical for me, just in the same way that is. But in fact, because I like to have that sat a bit flatter when I'm flying, that whole shape just feels really nice for pinching. That's no problem for me. So there's a pincher perspective.
I feel we got a view from a couple of years' time. Haptic gloves all the rage, and this is the new sort of porn. Is basically what NJ's just doing on his radio.
Yeah, we should put a 15 certificate in the corner of the screen when broadcasting.
I don't know why, but whenever I see a pincher, I realise it works for you and it's more accurate. It just seems so unnatural to me. Whenever I pick up like a game controller, and I was like, "Well, do you pinch on a game controller? If you were playing Xbox, would you be doing this end?
No,
or would you just use the thumbs?"
They're not.
Is that not the normal thing to do on an Xbox then?
No,
I'm kidding. I don't do that.
Wrong.
I don't do that.
What's the difference?
I found more OCD of Curry. No, because I was actually it's probably now about equal, but for the first half of ever doing anything RC, I was a thumber, and it wasn't until 3D helicopters that I changed to a pincher, and I found I got more fine precision because two digits gave me more fine motor control, I found, than just the thumbs.
I do get that, but it feels to me like you would really have to work for a long time to overcome what is... I mean, it's been in my psyche for years, just playing video games. To suddenly go and say, okay, we're going to retrain and do this, would take an awful lot of persistence, almost as much as trying to fly with a 65-degree tilt on the camera. And just try doing both at once. I'm flicking over to... I'll change to mode 1, change to a pincher, and fly at 65 degrees. Do that all at once.
There's a video. Fun. Surely there's a video to do, Curry. I challenge you to do a pack of pinch flying and then alternate with a pack of thumb flying and then go back to pinch. See if you're pinching.
Once I can go outside, because we already said we'd do the Blue Owl challenge. Let's try flying at 65 degrees for real. We've already tried it in a simulator, and it's just a horrendous mess of us crashing into the ground and saying, "Why won't it go upwards? It's just going along really fast into the ground."
I have to say, I'm really enjoying the Saturday sessions with personal tutoring by Blue Owl, the 65-degree tricks. I'm enjoying it. It's great.
Yeah, I gotta say, Frank is getting dangerously good at this, so he may become the new, Matty Stans or
I think at some point we're going to have to get some
ruining Frank.
Some streaming in here. It'd be quite good to get a little bit of show us a trick or some kind of challenge there, Blue Owl. You show on stream. Have we tried streaming anything in here? Does it work? Can it handle the? Yeah.
Well, I think it works all right generally. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. Blue Owl's done some demonstrations. The figure 8 upside down yaws are quite interesting, going around and around while staying inverted all the time. That's
what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna keep crashing for 1 hour straight because that's how it works. I'm trying to show off. So, but yeah, we can try that. We can have a challenge. Maybe I'll learn something from Frank next time because it's really going dangerously fast. His learning curve is like vertically up. So we can arrange that.
I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely looking forward to eventually being able to go outside with a quad to a field and actually putting it up at 65 degrees and having a go, and it being completely different and crashing immediately. And I think that'll be fun.
No.
I think you'll be all right, mate.
I want to watch the landing. I think that's going to be the most interesting part.
Yeah, that's going to get interesting.
Definitely.
If he doesn't crash into himself, I will be amazed.
I mean,
do you still remember what it feels to go outside and fly? I don't. I don't know when was the last time I did it.
No one remembers that.
No.
I think
Sheldon was there. That's all I remember.
I've got to point out in the chat, RC Labotics said Curtis Youngblood TX is mental. His yaw is on a twist on the cyclic. So Curtis Youngblood from back in the 3D helicopter early days was just an incredible 3D helicopter pilot, but his control setup was absolutely bonkers. And what he would have is the throttle on the left side as normal, but on the end of the throttle was like a giant ball that he would twist from left to right to do the yaw. So if you can imagine a giant disc on the top of the throttle stick that you would hold and twist from left to right. So you'd rotate for yaw and throttle normal up and down, and then the cycling normal. Super, super weird. So he's the only person I've ever known to do something as strange as that. But he was a 3D master. I think so, yeah. There were people who were trying to try it out and copy it, because there were certain maneuvers in the 3D competitions that were really difficult, and there was one called the Chaos, which is where the helicopter would spin about its axis and then flip upside down and then spin. But there's a pirouetting flip where it's constantly a front flip while spinning, and then Chaos is where the axis changes the whole time. And he was one of the few people that could just do this, and everyone said is something to do with that crazy mod. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, that was a nice blast from the past there.
Yes,
it does strike me that
I've got the same thing as Caroline here. I get cramp because I'm a bit of a hybrid. I pinch with my throttle and thumb when I was doing my long. When I was flying long range out in the cold, I was like getting cramp in this. I was like, I have to let go a couple of times, and long range flying, I just can't do it. So, can you fly longer than a couple of minutes? Do you get cramp, or have you ever got cramp or anything like that?
No, I had no problem with it. I think the stick length definitely has something to do with it, so that you're a bit more extended and you're not kind of like really bunching up to try and move. But the other thing is just try not to be. That can also be indicative of you being very white knuckled on the controls. Some people really squeeze the controls hard, and you want to just be as relaxed as you can. But again, it's
like that. The dinosaur grip, he called it.
Yeah. So I was just gonna show you how my pinching looks like, because it's not actually pinching like holding the sticks. Oh my god, this is so high. But what I actually do is
an audio podcast as well.
Hold the thumb. Okay, that's getting weird, right? Just kind of. It is kind of like a merge between the two, because what I use the index finger for is just pulling the stick, but I don't pinch the stick and kind of use two fingers actively to move it, right? So it's only to give me a little bit of precision, kind of a little bit of a feel to it, but most of the work is done with the thumb, if that makes sense.
Interestingly, that's only something, that sort of way of holding is only an invention that I've ever known or seen since FPV. I haven't ever seen that in RC on other RC aircraft, but this thing of using the thumb but then the kind of claw over the top for the pull has come about with FPV. It's really interesting. But yeah, Schizo's one of those people. Doesn't Steele do that with one hand as well? With I think the right.
I think he's full on pincher.
Is he?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember seeing a couple of those guys doing the sort of the flat finger thing.
Yes, Patreon's in the chat, Martin McFly.
What I was going to say is I think there's more scope for adding extra controls in. If you imagine that, if you've got your controller, we'll all do this, we'll all hold a controller, and this thumb's normally doing something. If, let's say, you had a much bigger stick here and you were grabbing that with your whole hand, precision, you could then have a thumbstick on the end of that stick to do completely different directions. I'm completely serious. This was from an idea of a game controller for a very intense game called Steel Battalion, which had a stick with another stick on top, which operated like something else. Like a knee joint. And it was complete. It wasn't quite like that because I suppose you could call it that, because the top stick would act like a regular stick, but it's just the fact you were moving that other stick around. But that it sounds weird, but it didn't seem to matter because your thumb was in the same place relative, because your hand's moving around. You effectively got two stick precision within one stick, so you'd actually have 3-stick control plus a couple of switches if you did that. But I can't think what you might need to do it for.
like a joystick.
With a stick on the end for your
with
thumb.
With a thumbstick on the top of the joystick.
It's like a damper, effectively, isn't it? Of sorts. It's sort of damping the input a little bit.
No, I think
but you can have completely different inputs on them. I mean, this one was this was control. This was camera.
Oh, I see. Okay. Have you got any images of that? I'd be really interested to see that.
Yeah, but bear in mind it's a game controller for big robot mechs. It's not going to make too much
quite niche,
if you see it. A little bit.
Is that the next lockdown project then?
No, I was just thinking when you were talking about like here, Curtis Youngblood's got like an extra stick. It's like, well, you could do something else.
What a cool name!
It is a good name. While we were talking about transmitters, I was also wondering about neck straps because I was thinking maybe that's kind of a difference. Maybe that's between NJ and Tony with getting cramp and things with pinching.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? I guess that's just a different thing for different people. For me, I like to rest my hands kind of against the resistance of the neck strap. So my hands are kind of more relaxed when they're sort of resting on the controller. So yeah, I can fly without the neck strap, but I don't like it.
So Steel Battalion, if you look at the left-hand side, you've got a stick, and that little gubbins on top is a little thumbstick, which will control something different to the main stick, which is obviously its own little thing. But I can just sort of imagine that could be used on a remote to give you more. Because we were talking again the other day about that weird pyramid thing, which needs like an extra axis of movement, and was like, how would you do that extra axis in? Because you've only got 2 sticks. It's like, well, you can have 3 sticks if you do the right thing with it effectively.
I love the retro look of that. It's so awesome.
I was going to say this sounds like an excellent excuse to build like kind of a modern interpretation of a Steel Battalion controller.
When you turn Steel Battalion on, you have to flick switches. The eject button, you can see it's under a cover on the right-hand side. You have to flip the cover up and hit eject.
Cool.
Else it doesn't work.
Why do they do that? I know it's for safety, but like time and stuff. Oh, fucking hell, I've got, running out of time going down, and now I've got to pull this lever up, then flick the switch.
So, Curry, what do you reckon we could do with what do you reckon we could do with this then?
You could do stuff with it. What is that like? Just a D-pad on the top there
on YouTube.
Or has it got someone else?
Fly with that.
Yeah,
put it to a cord and fly.
You need to tell people what it is.
What is this? So people that are listening can Google it.
5, 6, 7, 8.
NJ is holding up a joystick.
Is that your DCS controller?
That's one of them, yeah.
What's it called?
That is the Satec X56.
There we go.
Are you going to get your pedals out next?
No, they're too heavy.
That's what she said.
Made of man steel.
I love you, NJ.
I know you do.
Line up that what is it? The pitot tube.
There's your answer, Tony. RC Labotics put an answer in the chat. If there is a cover, it means at least one person knocked it by accident.
I did gather that it was for safety, but it's just you're running out of time going down, and you got to do this, and
I guess it's a case of the number of times that you actually want to use it is very small in comparison to the times that you don't want to use it.
Yeah, that you're dusting the cockpit.
You sneeze.
Yeah. Oops. Oh dear. I can't wait to go out and fly. I've just spring is round the corner, everyone.
So why don't you tell us about your not at all controversial or illegal plans, Tony? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, that's nothing to do with flying. That's nothing to do with flying.
I thought it was all about flying, wasn't it?
No. That's my holiday for this year. I'm going on an FPV road trip this year. I bought a tent. What do you call it? Tent? A roof rack tent. Roof tent.
Could you explain it to me? Because is that literally just pitching a tent on the roof of a vehicle? Because they're a bit.
Pretty much.
Don't they sort of cave in a little bit? I mean, you're tiny, so I guess not for your point of view.
No, it's got a hard base and it all folds up, and then you literally undo it, grab the ladder and pull it down, and it will come off like that. And then the ladder comes through the center, and then you go up into it, and it's got a mattress and everything. It's well cool. And I'm putting it on my van, and I'm going flying, and I've got a big leisure battery in the back, so I'm gonna get that all ready to charge my batteries, and I'm going to be good to go. Look, let's face it, no one's going abroad this year, so I'm just.
Have you got a picture you can share? I'm still.
Someone find rooftop tent and show.
Well, you find rooftop tent.
For God's sake!
It's your bloody tent. Find a picture of it.
With your van, Tony,
you know how it works.
You can even take like a tank of water and give yourself a heated shower.
Well, yeah, I've got a heated shower and everything. So I could even run the hose underneath the mattress of the tent to keep me warm. Exactly. It's all going to be, it's fine. I'm going down to Devon first, then Cornwall, then up to Wales, and then Scotland. So anyone, I'm going to meet people on my trip. So if you want to come flying, meet me.
Although
fishing, Tony, fishing.
Sorry,
apparently, a leisure activity of fishing is allowed, so it might be Tony is fishing with his drone.
Yeah.
Even though he may not be with any water.
Drone fishing is a thing. I've definitely seen stuff about
bloody massive.
That doesn't look like an accident waiting to happen, does it?
Yeah, what happens if you walk over the bit where there's no roof? Suddenly the whole thing goes down.
It's a big, thick bit. You can sit in there. It's a big hard bit under that bit, under the ladder.
Yeah, but what's it attached to?
What do you mean? It's folding out. It's
attached to the roof bars, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as it unfolds, it's supported by the roof bars.
Leverage.
Yeah,
cantilever.
I see.
I presume the toilet is situated in the left half of the tent.
Toilet is in the back of my van. Carrier bag, buckets, job done.
My OCD doesn't like the fact it's not centered at all. It's like it looks all lopsided. I don't like it.
Folds up.
It gives you like a nice little sun shelter underneath. Little, what's the inverse of a
canopy clip-on bit? What clips on around the side of the ladder and comes down and gives you a little outhousey bit under the laddery bit. It's gonna be well cool. Can't wait. See you on my trip this year, this summer. Shout me if you want me to come fly with you. I'm going around the country.
That's quite cool, actually. Terrace section on there.
And if I want to fly with you, then would you come to Prague?
Well, I don't think I'm allowed out of the country. I don't want a £1,700 fine. That's why I'm staying in the country.
Damn you people.
What we'll do is we'll get a few of those drums that you use for keeping all your clothes dry when you're going kayaking. And we'll tie them to your wheels. And then we'll take your paddles for when you go kayaking, and you can paddle your car across the channel and get to the other side.
Well, I'll just take me kayaks on there and.
Oh yeah, just strap the kayaks to the van.
That'll be fine.
Yeah, little pontoons.
But I just
catamaran.
I'm not going on holiday. Probably no one is. So I just thought, well, I'm going to stay in England and just go around flying for a couple of weeks. I think it'd be good fun. I like camping anyway, so I've got all the gear. No idea. Well, I'll enjoy myself anyway.
Yeah,
me and my dog. That's all I need.
It's camping with a mattress. It sounds a very good form of camping to me.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Shall I pour a ring of petrol around his tent for a laugh?
It's brilliant for that, fruity cakes.
Oh my god!
Oh, dear.
Especially if you set the tent up on someone else's car.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna you keep an eye on me and stuff. Well, it won't be for a few more months though.
Daily vlogs are needed, Tony. Just find yourself a Wi-Fi hotspot and get them uploaded.
Well, I could do some vlogging.
That would be amazing.
It'd be fun. You're quite welcome to come, one of you. It probably just about top to tail one other person. I think it could take 2 human beings. So, Jack, you probably can't come.
We warn you that the other human being will be over that strange void. It might disappear in the middle of the night.
You can, Jack. I was only ripping you.
If the ground is a little bit soggy, then the ladder might sink a bit, and you might just kind of be just dumper trucked into the mud.
Oh, you're so optimistic,
We've learned from this past year. There was a few bits of kind of news that Discord sent us because we're using them to outsource our work to, which is great. So thank you, Robin and Clown.
It's the hive mind. It's the hive mind.
Yes. Involving our community. That's definitely it, and not getting them to do our work for us. Clown found some very some good gossip about some firmware with Fat Shark that looks like it was ready and then wasn't released, and it sounds like there's a lot of drama going along there. So, but apparently there's something coming out, maybe at some point when they sort themselves out.
What's this for? Fat Shark? What are you? I heard the owner of Fat Shark bought some DJI goggles because he said they were really good. Is that right, or is that fake news?
I've heard that rumor as well, Tony. I have heard that rumor as well.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Says quite a lot.
Like that.
Sheldon, if that is definitely you, I'm thinking of a word, and if you write that word, then I know it's you, and then I can moderate you so that I can protect you from Neil.
Sheldon.
Is the word just going to be cockwomble again?
Yes, Sheldon's Mr. Drone Doctor, for all of you out there. He has been on the show before. He does frequent our little DCS community. But he's well known as what we call a griefer, someone who ruins everyone's fun to much of his own delight by doing things with planes that you shouldn't do. Yes, that's what our dear Sheldon, Mr. Drone Doctor, does.
Everyone's got a level of respect for Neil, and
except Sheldon.
Sheldon has absolutely none. And
actually, there's someone who's been fishing recently with his brand new glider. You should get him on here to talk about that crazy glider he's bought, which is a Vlad, another beautiful Vladimir carbon glider.
Not the one with the jet in it, then.
Not the one with the jet in it, although he does have a RC jet engine.
Mm-hmm. He was showing that off on your Discord as well.
Yeah, managing to get that thing fired up in what was it he had it in? Was it a high watt? I can't remember. It's like the XL one or something.
It's
called the
Acrowatt.
Megawatt or something.
Acrowatt, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's now called the Turbo Watt.
Yeah, the Turbo Watt. Yeah, very. I would love to get on the turbine, RC turbine side of things. But they are slowly coming down, but they are just hideous amounts of money. Even though there are more companies doing it, and the sort of the cheap Chinese ones are actually getting very good now, there's still lots and lots of money. You still have to throw thousands at building a model with an RC turbine in it.
Yeah, to make them down and everything. It's very impressive. Sorry.
If you saw, Project Air has recently been given a turbine by a manufacturer, and he's decided not to put it in an aircraft to begin with. And he's going to put it on a car, and then he's going to put it on a boat, and then he'll think about putting it on an aircraft.
I watched someone put it on a kayak about 2 weeks ago. It was
quite
good. It was pretty. It didn't go very fast, but it was quite impressive. It was quite small little turbine, but
I remember at Santa Pod they had
pretty cool.
pulse jet powered go karts, which
Those things are so noisy.
they're so
Bang out,
noisy
aren't they?
and so
Inefficient.
underwhelming when they actually let go of the brakes, because they're just making all this noise and flame and then they take the brakes off and they kind of
Yeah.
They get going in the end, but
might as well be just like a mobility scooter or something. It's just like,
A lot of racket for not much.
I've done really well on a mobility scooter.
yeah, that is true.
You achieved quite a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to get one of those RC turbines on a heli.
You did. Oh, you blocking my voice out again?
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
Your voice
when
is
you
blocking out.
speak, it just my brain just goes. It's like having a wife.
All right, see you later, guys. It's been fucking pointless me being here.
No, sorry, Jack. I'm listening.
No, it's fine. Don't worry.
No,
All right.
look,
Yeah,
when you rib me, I take it. Look, he's such a little girl, isn't he? Oh, Jack. Well, he can't take a ribbing, that boy. Gives it to me. When I give it back, he's like, oh.
I mean, what time of day would we have to kind of wake you up and rib you for it to be the equivalent to when we've woken Jack up for this? I guess it'd have to be like
it's
pretty
fine.
early, right?
I'm an absolute prick to him. He's well good. He's right. I sent you the link, Sheld. Have my spot. Okay, right. Bye.
yeah.
You're going to bed.
We can do more than 6.
Sorry, Jack.
Until StreamYard finds out we haven't paid them because, Frank.
You're losing the impact of leaving now if you keep rejoining. It takes away the drama.
I know.
Completely, it takes away the drama.
Oh,
Yes, Mr. Fruitcake, son. Turn it inside out. Why should she have all the fun?
Blue Owl, I'm so sorry. You can just shout at him if you want, please. Please do it.
You
are a very naughty boy. You sexist pig.
Shall I go?
He's not the Messiah.
That's my little Blue Owl voice.
Wow.
Very good.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
Can you try doing a Jack voice, Blue Owl?
What's that?
Try doing a Jack voice. What's your best impression of Jack?
Whoa, I have a headache. I'm so grumpy today, guys.
That's brilliant.
I don't know. That's all I can
Now
speak
we
of.
got that editor for the start and finish.
It's like he's in the room with us.
Oh, now he's gone for good.
Well, it's all right. You can do a better impression of him than he can. So
That was a very poor impression of Jack.
The only way it could have been better was if you mentioned the Roomba. But I think
that is true.
top marks.
RC Lobotic says we had a chap melt his blades at our club with a turbine once. Yeah, there's lots of good videos on YouTube of RC turbines destroying themselves. Usually followed by the owner pretty much bursting into tears when they realise how much money they've just cost themselves. Because I think, the turbine that Sheldon has, which is a Jet Cat. Which are kind of one of the OGs of doing the German company of doing the RC turbines, just to send that thing back for a small temperature probe problem would have cost upwards of 500 quid to get it all sorted and serviced and back.
Well, them planes were flying in MA5, was it, Frank?
Yes.
They were.
I was just going to say.
Apiece.
Yeah. So the planes we saw at MA5, I think the absolute bottom price was about 10 and it went up to 20. So NJ, looking at the sort of the cheap and cheerful, I say cheap and cheerful, the cheap and would actually work turbines from China, given you need the ECU and presumably a fuel tank and stuff, if you had like a plane or whatever and you wanted to put a turbine on it now, exactly what sort of money are you talking about currently?
I think most people that want to get into it will try and look for a decent condition second-hand one. That's probably your best way into it. That's had good run time and works well and doesn't have any problems. that's going to be cheap. I think if you're looking at new turbines, even the small ones, the tiny little sort of Coke can size ones, you're still at least throwing a couple of grand at them. I think something that if I wanted something for like my 90 size heli, $4,000 probably somewhere, that kind of money for a nice RC turbine to get that thing in the air, which is obviously you've really got to want to do it to spend that money, I think.
And that is
you can get a trainer for around 2K.
Yeah, so there you go.
Still sounds quite a lot for a trainer, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely more. There's more available now. There's more options to doing it. It will come down. Yeah, there you go. I think 2K is the consensus. But it's that noise, isn't it? As good as EDFs are, you just can't beat the startup noise of a proper turbine.
For £2,000, couldn't you get a pretty good speaker?
Just play the sound.
Play it.
Yeah.
For just £1,000, I will come and stand next to you and go as your plane's going. That's not a
subscription basis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. How long until you dig a $2,000 trainer into the ground? A couple of years.
I suppose the other problem is as well is accessibility. I mean, you can't just I'm just popping to the park to fly my jet because other park users may have a point of view about it. You need to be in like a dedicated club, and presumably there's some clubs don't allow them and some clubs are okay with them. I suppose. Do you need a bigger space? Because the guys we met at MA5 were very keen to tell us they were like pussycats, but this is typically what people say when they're very good at flying things. It's like
they were very good at flying things.
I'm not completely convinced that
part
easy.
Of the turbine, as you say, is the noise, which is very, very loud. And it's not so noticeable in a big kind of air show or mini air show kind of situation, but in a club park kind of situation, I think you would get some very angry letters very quickly if you tried to do that every weekend.
Yeah.
Yes. Although I do take note that the only person that got real complaints at the last, I think it's MA4 was Rupert with his 6S Funjet, which was insanely loud and made jets sound very wimpy indeed.
Yeah, the turbine powered Vampire did not get any noise complaints, but the prop powered Funjet did. Yeah.
Do you reckon there'll be any MA 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s?
They will be different. There will be events. There will be mini air show events, but they will be very different. There is going to be a Popham event, or at least they have announced one and started publicising it.
One.
Nothing to
They're
do with
saying, I think the third weekend of August, I think, is going to be the Popham Model Air Show. And they are doing what we were talking about doing for the Mini Air Show 6, which was shutting all manned aviation into... Well, we were actually talking about shutting one runway and keeping one runway as manned aviation. They're talking about shutting both runways, so having no manned aviation for that day while the actual events are going on, and having just the whole site over to a model air show.
It does kind of sound like they took your idea and stole it.
No, I would say we seeded, and we were the nucleation sites. They were wanting to do it, but they were too scared to do it. So we just had a go because we didn't know any better. And then they went, oh, it's not that hard. We can do it after all. Because they've also got 2 more clubs, I think, have now kind of been shoved out of where they have been for the past few years and have all gone to Popham. So there's like 3 sets of chefs in this kitchen now. So they don't really need us there anymore to make something happen. So yeah, they will be doing their own thing. And I'm sure it will be quite big and lots of noisy things will be happening, but probably not much in the way of FPV, I imagine. No, I mean, they'll probably be doing the kind of normal Popham weekend meetup kind of things, but I imagine it won't be quite as FPV heavy, I imagine there won't be quite as much going on as there would
More
be at
on
the
the
air show.
fishing side of things, I hear. Should we add the world's worst person to the chat to incite NJ?
Can add the cockwomble, the griefer.
Hello, Sean.
Hello.
Is that a high vis you're wearing?
No, it's
No,
just a jacket with
Nice.
green zippers.
Are you in Drone Doctor Office?
I'm in Drone Doctor Office. You can tell because we have tiny whoop gates.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So it's been a busy day.
Uh,
Well, he's just getting there. This is his morning as well.
how do I? Am I now sideways? There we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit.
Presumably you're just turning up to work, because this is usually about the time you start, right?
Yeah, I was in for an hour earlier, so I had to go and walk the dog. What's the latest subject matter? I heard some chatter about turbines, and then I was in the car.
Your glider.
We were. Your ultra watt, extra watt, high watt, whatever watt it is. It's acro watt. Yeah, that was the one.
You know what?
That is. You know what? Please, we're now changing it to the you know what.
You know
There
what
is
is
a you
the
know
name of another Chris Foss model? Yeah.
Oh.
That was my first ever plane. Was a you know what?
How about the
You say what and something else,
WTF?
isn't there?
Talk about that turbine specifically, because that's a turbo prop that setup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a JetCat P20 with a turboprop unit made by CNC Model Parts, for a Swiss company, and basically the exhaust of the turbine goes into another turbine, basically like a windmill, very high RPM windmill. That then goes through a gearbox, drives a propeller. So you get all the fun of a turbine, but you get to play with a model that is propeller powered. So it's used on a lot of full size aircraft, various sizes. And yeah, it's just a bit more interesting because turbines are now becoming pretty commonplace. Also, there aren't any flying clubs near me which allow turbines. When turbines first started becoming popular, about, 10, 15 years ago, they started becoming a bit more mainstream. You could fly them in most clubs, but a lot of clubs, for reasons of varying levels of, well,
You said
okay,
that sentence
I shouldn't get
backwards,
into
didn't
that. Yeah, but varying reasons, many clubs have decided to ban turbines, and so there aren't many. There aren't any near me where you can fly turbines, unfortunately. So my local club, the main reason you can't fly turbines is because of noise, and also because of the strip is too small for the average turbine-powered plane. So you need a bit of runway. But they made an exception for my turboprop because it's quiet. It's no louder than a large electric model, to be completely honest. It's a high-pitched noise, so the noise doesn't travel. It's quieter than any piston-powered model. And it's really good fun.
So what you're saying is you're better than everyone else with a RC turbine aircraft.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're the exception to the rule. Yes, I thought as much. So that system of using the exhaust is to drive a mini windmill, as you say. That's essentially like a completely sort of almost frictionless, like a clutch that won't ever wear out. It's quite a cool system.
Yeah, there's the other option is a turbo shaft. So you see this on full-size aircraft. A very good example is the difference between the Pratt & Whitney PT6 and the Garrett 331. So the PT6 is used on loads of planes, like the King Air, the TBM, which if you've played Microsoft Flight Sim, you'll know the TBM. It's super reliable, incredibly simple to operate, way easier than a piston engine. It's just a bit more expensive and likes
I'm really
to drink
enjoying
fuel.
watching Curry just kind of glaze over.
Between me and Sheldon, we've got him cornered. You see this?
Yeah,
I can't do anything
I'm
about
almost
this.
done. I'm almost
He's
done.
saying names and words and numbers.
So the difference with the Garrett is that the actual shaft of the turbine. Yes. The actual shaft of the turbine drives the gearbox. So it takes a lot more work to start it, because when you start the engine, you also have to spin up the gearbox and the propeller, but it burns less fuel. It's the main advantage, and you get quicker throttle response. But you can't really do that very easily with a model, because this little turbine it idles at 85,000 RPM, and full whack is 260,000. So trying to take a power takeoff from that and then gear it down to something reasonable for a propeller, it's not very practical. So
it's quite a reduction gear. It'd probably be several times wider than the model.
Maybe if you just used a really tiny propeller, it would be okay.
That's one of
like quarter-inch little thing.
It's already got a little propeller on it, so you could, I mean, on the front, so you could do that, but it wouldn't be very effective. Anyway, that's model jets. They're not that big of a deal anymore. They're everywhere. They're not that expensive anymore. Although the only other thing I wanted to say is people talk about jet trainers, which doesn't really make sense, because if you're buying a turbine, you'd hope that you already know how to fly. So getting a trainer model is a bit silly, in my opinion.
I always assumed it was to train you to fly a jet.
There's no difference. The throttle takes a little bit longer to respond, and the engine never stops. Those are the differences, unless you run out of fuel. But no, I mean, a little bit of forethought and you're fine. But I don't think there's anyone who, because the typical jet trainer is like a Boomerang or Excalibur. If you can't fly one of that, there will be no one who can safely fly one of those, but can't safely fly a scale jet like an F-16 or something. It's not going to happen. So they're unnecessary. I'm not sure that really added anything to the Let's Drone Out podcast.
I would just say that Caroline is echoing my feelings completely. They're not expensive, they're commonplace. It's all subjective and relative depending on your various levels of money bags in your pocket.
Caroline, I was going to point this out. I was going to point this out, but I thought I'm just going to let him talk.
Hold on. What's behind you, Neil? What are those guitars worth?
Well, that's different. That's
professional equipment.
No, it's not. The thing I would say on that is it depends where you've come from in the modelling world. If you came from line of sight models, where it's pretty normal for people to spend 500 quid on a Futaba radio, 200 quid on servos for a model, another 300 on an engine, and then 500 on an airframe, suddenly spending, say, £1,000 on a second-hand turbine isn't actually that big of a stretch. But obviously, if you've come from the Hobby King world with building your first quad for 100 quid or with a 60 quid Fly Sky radio, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and you get much more value for money, and it's generally much more fun.
That second point of reference was suddenly talking to the audience and every other member of the podcast.
Sure. So, it's a better way to do it, in my opinion.
Balsa and glue. That's where I came from. And back in the day of doping wings as well.
Oh wow!
Anyone's ever done that? Yeah. I was actually allowed. This is how old I am. I was actually allowed. I took a model into my junior school, and asked my lunch break if they minded if I applied the tin of dope with the brush to the wings of my plane, which they were fine with. Of course, there were other kids in the room, and there were no windows open. So I'm there with this.
Everyone had a great time
doping these wings, watching them stretch and shrink around the. And it was only after sort of the end of the lunch break, when there's like 6 of us in here at this point, pretty stoned, for a bunch of like 8-9-year-olds, that the teacher came in and said, "Oh, it's very, very strong smelling in here. Perhaps we should open a window."
I have to say, I'm confused with the word doping wings, but the result I was thinking in my head got the same at the end of the day with these stoned 8- and 9-year-olds.
Yeah, it's
exactly
that's what it was called. Yeah, exactly.
There we go. I don't know if you can read that. Oh, this is clear non-shrinking dope. There you go.
There you go. That's the stuff. Yeah.
I love Sheldon trying to relate to common people, like prime ministers, like trying to pretend they're human. You know,
they're doing a really good job at the moment as well, aren't they?
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I remember when
own a Tyrannus.
I remember when once the whole doping wings thing wasn't cool, and they came out with a film that you had to put on with an iron. Did anyone remember that? You had to iron the stuff on the wings, and then eventually that went away.
That's what everyone still uses. Iron on film. That's what everyone still uses.
They're still doing that, are they?
Yeah, that's the standard thing.
That's the start. I remember spending hours putting that stuff on a President trainer, which was a high wing trainer back in the day with a 50cc engine in it. 50cc? It definitely 50. Wasn't that.
0.5 cubic
like
inch.
0.5, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
50cc would have been brilliant.
That's it.
Yeah. And
that's just to do your sleeves, isn't it?
It took weeks. It takes weeks to do it, and so much time. And then that was the first plane I managed to immediately crash. And then I thought, well, I'm not doing that again.
Can you imagine doing all that and then?
Yeah.
Oh God, no. Horrible.
That was it. Andy RC's got it in the chat. The President High Boy. That was it. That's exactly the. That was exactly the model. That was the trainer. I think a lot of people started out on.
They never flew well. They're the worst models to learn to fly, and especially when you did it with 3-channel. They're terrible.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, you definitely need the ailerons for that guy. It did have a bit of a dihedral, but it was it was
still terrible. Way too heavy. Light ply fuselage foam wings. Yeah. They're rubbish.
That's the one.
Should we call it there, guys?
I think we are there.
Unfortunately, we didn't have NJ's weekly aerodynamics lecture, but we did
got away with it this time.
There we go. If we can talk enough, we can stop him showing us that diagram again. Showing us the pressure wave.
This is maybe me playing my long game to make sure you're all on your toes and chatting lots during the Let's Zone Out podcast. If you don't, I'll get in there with some aerodynamic facts, and if you really don't, I'll drag Sheldon in, and then we'll
would you
talk
like
about it non-stop.
Would you like to pick a transonic person from the last episode? Do you want me to post the link? So the link's in the private chat here. So there's a lot of people answered your little transonic thing in the comments. Do you want to pick someone and I'll send them some stickers?
Sure thing. Who? Let's have a look.
And Sheldon, whilst he's doing that, can you think of a new word that people can write in the comments and they can win something from Drone Doctor that may or may not be broken?
We've had cockwomble, so you can't use that.
I don't know. What could I give them?
I don't know, find some random.
I could give them a 00 gauge.
Oh yes,
wagon, open top wagon. These are actually quite hard to. Hold on.
You sure you want to give that away?
Well. No, it was quite expensive. I've got actually. I know what I could do. We actually made a necklace out of broken Mavic Mini arms. You can have a Inspire 2 arm.
Oh, I'll take that.
I
don't know. Pick
there's
something.
a Mavic 2 arm. I don't know. I'll give them. This is a Mavic 2 arm that's been chewed by a dog, I think.
Yeah,
so you can have that. If you like dogs and you want this, you're more than welcome to have it.
No worries. NJ, have you got a winner?
The one that made me chuckle was Transonic the Hedgehog, which was FL Engineer.
No worries, FL Engineer. If you want to email us at let's drone out at gmail.com, I will send you some stickers. And Sheldon, what's your word for this week that people can type in the comments?
I can't think of anything that might be amusing yet also possible to say out loud.
That's a bit long, that.
Just pick a random word.
Wait, so how does this work? Go on.
You just got to frigging say a fucking word, mate. Just
and
anything.
Then people write it in the comments below.
Okay.
I'm getting stressed out now.
Dope.
Sausage.
There you go. Dope.
What was it?
Dope.
Right. God. Yeah, right. Doping in the comments.
God, we're gonna get taken off air, aren't we?
No, doping probably. Yes, probably. But yeah, if you want to win a chewed Mavic arm by a dog, Remember, write doping in the comments. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. I've been a moody Jack, and I suck apparently. So says Blue Owl, the not so lovely Blue Owl.
Jack, do you want everyone to put doping in at the end of this video?
In the comments.
In the
comments.
Not now, because everyone's doing it now.
Might I stipulate that it's a witty line, including that word.
Yeah.
Your objective is to make us laugh. So.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And then Sheldon will pick someone for next week.
Yeah.
You've been joined by our overlord and master, Andrew Slashrank.
Hi.
The legend Cockwomble himself.
Oh, goodbye.
Everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Goodbye.
Hey, Lily, I love you. You're so much nicer than Blue Owl.
Blue Owl's not been here long, and we already trust him more than you.
It's not difficult.
The lovely, the wonderful Blue Owl.
Oh, bye.
NJ, the sexiest man alive.
One day it's just going to be NJ. Just NJ. See you guys. See you next week.
The transonic NJ. There you go.
Transonic.
Edit that one in, and then just have him complain. And my little vegan chicken nugget.
Bonjour.
Tony. Thank you, guys. Tally ho.